Hello, guys and gals, and this is part 13 of our reading of the Harvard Classics. And the Harvard Classics are made up of the Apology, Phaedo, and Credo of Plato, by Plato, rather, translated by Benjamin Jowett, the Golden Sayings of Epictetus, translated by Hastings Crosley, and the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, translated by George Long, edited by Charles W. Eliot, LLD, with introductions and notes. And we're going to go over the copyright information, which clearly says that it's copyright 1980, 1937, and 1907 by Grolier Enterprises, and it's manufactured in the United States. Now, we've been reading Phaedo by Plato. And they're talking about the Earth, basically, as basically structurally, which is kind of fascinating considering we know a lot about the Earth now. And they didn't really know much about the Earth back then. So this is really fascinating. Socrates did have a theory that the Earth was actually round, while most people had the opinion that the Earth was flat. So he was kind of wrong about some of the other stuff, but we are going to continue here. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're going to start this too. And the entire region, okay. He would acknowledge that this was the place of the true heaven and the true light and the true stars. For the earth and the stones and the entire region which surrounds us are spoiled and corroded like the things in the sea, which are corroded by the brine. For in the sea, too, there is hardly any noble or perfect growth, but clefts only, and sand and an endless slough of mud. And even the shore is not to be compared to the fairer sights of this world, and greater far is the superiority of the other. For of that upper earth which is under the heaven, I can tell you a charming tale, Simmias, which is well worth hearing. And we, Socrates, replied Simmias, shall be charmed to listen. The tale, my friend, he said, is as follows. In the first place, the earth, when looked at from above, is like one of those balls which have leather coverings in 12 pieces, and is of diverse colors, of which the colors which painters use on earth are only a sample. But there, the whole earth is made up of them, and they are brighter far and clearer than ours. There is a purple of wonderful luster, also the radiance of gold, and the white which is in the earth is whiter than any chalk or snow. Of these, the other colors the earth is made up. Of these and other colors, the earth is made up, and they are more in number and fairer than the eye of man has ever seen. And the very hollows of which I was speaking, filled with air and water, are seen like light flashes amid the other colors, and have a color of their own, which gives a sort of unity to the variety of earth. And in this fair region, everything that grows, trees and flowers and fruits, is in a like degree fairer than any here, and there are hills and stones in them, in a like degree smoother and more transparent and fairer in color than our highly valued emeralds and sardonyxes and jaspers and other gems, which are but minute fragments of them. For there all the stones are like our precious stones, and fairer still. The reason of this is that they are pure, and not, like our precious stones, infected or corroded by the corrupt briny elements which coagulate among us, and which breed foulness and disease both in earth and stones, as well as in animals and plants. They are the jewels of the upper earth, which also shines with gold and silver and the like, and they are visible to sight, and large and abundant, and found in every region of the earth. And blessed is he who sees them. And upon the earth are animals and men, some in a middle region, others dwelling about the air, as we dwell about the sea, others in islands which the air flows around near the continent, and in a word, the air is used by them as the water and the sea are by us, and the other is to them what the air is to us. Moreover, the temperament of their seasons is such that they have no disease, and live much longer than we do, and have sight and hearing and smell and all the other senses in far greater perfection, in the same degree that air is purer than water, or the ether than air. Also, they have temples and sacred places in which the gods really dwell, and they hear their voices and receive their answers, and are conscious of them, and hold converse with them, and they see the sun, moon, and stars as they really are, and their other blessedness is of a piece with them. Such is the nature of the whole earth, and of the things which are around the earth, and there are diverse regions in the hollows on the face of the globe everywhere, some of them deeper and also wider than that which we inhabit, others deeper and with a narrower opening than ours, and some are shallower and wider. All have numerous perforations and passages, broad and narrow, in the interior of the earth, connecting them with one another, and there flows into and out of them, and as into basins, a vast tide of water, and huge subterranean streams of perennial river, and streams hot and cold, and a great fire, and a great river, and great rivers of fire, and streams of liquid mud, thin and thick, like the rivers of mud in Sicily, and the lava streams which follow them, and the regions about which they happen to flow are filled up with them. And there is a sort of swing in the interior of the earth which moves all this up and down. Now the swing is in this wise. There is a chasm, which the vastness of them all, and pierces right through the whole earth. This is that which Homer describes in his words, "Far off, where is the inmost depth beneath the earth?" Beneath the earth. Okay. And which he, in other places, and many other poets, have called Tartarus. And the swing is caused by the streams flowing into and out of this chasm. And they each have the nature of the soil through which they flow. And the reason why the streams are always flowing in and out is that the watery element has no bed or bottom, and is surging and swinging up and down, and the surrounding wind and air do the same. They follow the water up and down, hither and thither over the earth, just as in respiring the air is always in process of inhalation and exhalation. And the wind swinging with the water in and out produces fearful and irresistible blasts when the water retires with a rush into the lower parts of the earth, as they are called. They flow through the earth into those regions and fill them up as with the alternate motion of a pump. And then when they leave those regions and rush back hither, they again fill the hollows here, and when these are filled, flow through subterranean channels and find their way to their several places, forming seas and lakes and rivers and springs. Thence they again enter the earth, some of them making a long circuit into many lands, others going in few places, and those not distant, and again fall into Tartarus, some at a point of a good deal lower than that at which they rose, and others not much lower, but all in some degree lower than the point of issue. And some burst forth again on the opposite side, and some on the same side, and some wind round the earth with one or many folds, like the coils of a serpent, and descend as far as they can, but always return and fall into the lake. The rivers on either side can descend only to the center and no further, for to the rivers on both sides, the opposite side is a precipice. Now, these rivers are many and mighty and diverse, and there are four principal ones, of which the greater and outermost is called Oceanus, which flows round the earth in a circle, and in the opposite direction flows Acheron, which passes under the earth through desert places into the Acherusian lake. This is the lake to the shore of which the soul of the many go when they are dead, and after waiting an appointed time, which is to some a longer and to some a shorter time, they are sent back again to be born as animals. The third river rises between the two, and near the place of rising pours into a vast region of fire, and forms a lake larger than the Mediterranean Sea, boiling with water and mud, and proceeding muddy and turbid, and winding round the earth, comes among other places to the extremities of the Acherusian lake, but mingles not with the waters of the lake, and after making many coils about the earth, plunges into Tartarus at a deeper level. This is the Pyriphilgathon, as the steam is called, which throws up jets of fire in all sorts of places. And the fourth river goes out on the opposite side and falls first of all into a wild and savage region, which is all of the dark blue color, which is all of the dark blue color, like lapis lazuli. And that is that river which is called the Stygian River, and falls into the form of Lake Styx. And after falling into the lake and receiving strange powers in the waters, passes under the earth, winding round in the opposite direction to Pyrophlegathon, and meeting in the Acherusian lake from the opposite side. And the waters of this river too mingles with no other, but flows round in a circle and falls into Tartarus over against Pyrophlegathon. And the name of this river, as the poets say, is Cocytus. Such is the name of the other world. And when the dead arrive at the place to which the genius of each severally convey them, first of all they have sentence passed upon them, as they have lived well and piously or not, and those who appear to have lived neither well nor ill go to the river Acheron, and mount such conveyances as they can get, and are carried in them to the lake, and there they dwell and are purified and are purified of their evil deeds, and suffer the penalty of the wrongs which they have done to others, and are absolved and receive the rewards of their good deeds according to their deserts. But those who appear to have incurable but those who appear to be incurable by reason of the greatness of their crimes, who have committed many and terrible deeds of sacrilege, murder, foul and violent, or the like, such are hurled into Tartarus, where which is their suitable destiny, and they never come out. Those again who have committed crimes which, although great, are not unpardonable, who in a moment of anger, for example, have done violence or a father or mother violence to a father or mother, and have repented for the remainder of their lives, or who have taken the life of another under like extenuating circumstances, these are plunged into Tartarus, the pains of which they are compelled to undergo for a year, but at the end of the year, the waves cast them forth, mere homicides by way of Cocytus, patricide and matricide by pyrophlegathon, and they are borne to the Acrusian lake, and there they are lifted up. Oh, there they lift up their voices and call upon the victims whom they have slain and wronged to have pity on them and to receive them, and to let them come out of the river into the lake. And if they prevail, then they come forth and cease from their troubles. But if not, they are carried back again into Tartarus, and from thence into the rivers unceasingly until they obtain mercy from those whom they have wronged, for that is the sentence inflicted upon them by their judges. Those also who are remarkable for having led holy lives are released from their earthly prison and go to their pure home, which is above, and dwell in the pure earth. And those who have duly purified themselves with philosophy live henceforth altogether without the body, in mansions fairer far than these, which may not be described, and of which the time would fail me to tell. Whenceforth Simmias, seeing all these things, what ought not we... Okay, sorry. This wording is a little bit tricky. Whenceforth Simmias, seeing all these things, what ought not we to do in order to obtain virtue and wisdom in this life? Fair is the prize, and the hope great. I do not mean to affirm that the description which I have given of the soul and her mansions is exactly true. A man of sense ought hardly to say that, but I do say that inasmuch as the soul is shown to be immortal, he may venture to think, not improperly or unworthily, that something of that kind is true. The venture is a glorious one, and he ought to comfort himself with words like these, which is the reason why I lengthen out the tale. Wherefore I say, let a man be of good cheer about his soul, who hath cast away the pleasure of and ornaments of the body as alien to him, and rather hurtful of their effects, and has followed after the pleasure of knowledge in this life, who has adorned the soul in her own proper jewels, which are temperance and justice and courage and nobility and truth. In these arrayed, she is ready to go on her journey to the world below. When her time comes, you, Simmias and Cebes, and all other men will depart at some time or other, me already, as the tragic poet would say, the voice of fate calls. Soon I must drink the poison, and I think that I had better repair to the that I should repair to the bath first, in order that the women might not have the trouble of washing my body after I am dead. When he was done speaking, Credo said, and have you in Credo said, and have you any commands for us, Socrates, anything to say about your children, or any other matter in which we can serve you? Nothing particular, he said, only that I have always told you I would have you look to yourselves. That is a service which you may always be doing to me and mine, as well as to yourselves, and you need not make professions, for if you take no thought of if you take no thought for yourselves, and walk not according to the precepts which I have given you, not now, for the first time, the warmth of your professions will be of no avail. We will do our best, said Credo, but in what way would you have us bury you? In any way that you like, only you must get a hold of me and take care that I do not walk away from you. Then he turned to us and added with a smile, I cannot make Credo believe that I am the same Socrates who has been talking and conducting the arguments. He fancied that I am the other Socrates, whom he will soon see, a dead body, and he asks, how shall I bury, and how shall he bury me? As though I have spoken many words in the endeavor to show that when I have drunk the poison, I shall leave you and go to the joy of the blessed. These words of mine, with which I confronted you and myself, have had, I perceive, no effect upon Credo, and therefore I want you to be surety for me now, as he was surety for me at my trial. But let the promise be of another sort, for he was my surety to the judges that I would remain, but you must be my surety to him that I shall not remain, but go away and depart, and then he will suffer less at my death, and not be grieved when he sees my body being burned or buried. I would not have him sorrow at my hard lot, or say at the burial, thus we lay out Socrates, or thus we follow him to the grave or bury him. For false words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. Be of good cheer then, my dear Credo, and say that you are burying my body only, and do with that as is usual, and as you think best. When he had spoken these words, he arose and went into the bath chamber with Creto, who bade us wait, and we waited, talking and thinking of the subject of discourse, and also of the greatness of our sorrow. He was like a father of whom we were being bereaved, and we were about to pass the rest of our lives as orphans. When he had taken the bath, his children were brought to him. He had 2 young sons and an older one, and the women of his family also came, and he talked to them and gave them a few directions in the presence of Credo, and he then dismissed them and returned to us. Now the hour of sunset was near, for a good deal of time had passed while he was within. When he came out, he sat down with us again after his bath, but not much was said. After the jailer, who was the servant of the 11, entered and stood by him, saying, To you, Socrates, whom I know to be the noblest and gentlest and best of all, whoever came to this place, I will not impute the angry feelings of other men, who rage and swear at me when, in obedience to the authorities, I bid them drink the poison. Indeed, I am sure that you will not be angry with me, for others, as you are aware, and not I, are the guilty cause. And so fare you well, and try to bear lightly what must needs be, and know my errand. Then bursting into tears, he turned away and went out. Socrates looked at him and said, I return your good wishes, and will do as you bid. Then, turning to us, he said, How charming the man is! Since I have been in prison, he has always been coming to see me, and at times he would talk to me, and was as good as could be to me, and now see how generously he sorrows for me. But we must do as he says, Credo. Let the cup be brought if the poison is prepared. If not, let the attendant prepare some. Yes, said Credo, the sun is still up. The hilltops and many a one has taken the draught late and after the announcement has been made to him, he has eaten and drunk and indulged in sensual delights. Do not hasten, then. There is still time. Socrates said, Yes, Crito, and they of whom you speak are right in doing thus, for they think that they will gain by the delay, but I am right in not doing thus. For I do not think that I should gain anything by drinking the poison a little later. I should be sparing and saving a life which is already gone. I could only laugh at myself for this. Please, then, do as I say, and not to refuse me. Crito, when he heard this, made a sign to the servant, and the servant went in, and remained for some time, and then returned with the jailer carrying a cup of poison. Socrates said, You, my good friend, who are experienced in these matters, shall give me directions how I am to proceed. The man answered, You have only to walk about until your legs are heavy, and then to lie down, and the poison will act. At the same time, he handed the cup to Socrates, whom, in the easiest and gentlest manner, without the least fear or change of color or feature, looked at the man with all his eyes. Echecrates, as his manner was, took the cup and said, What do you say about making a libation out of this cup to any god? May I or not? The man answered, We only prepare, Socrates, just so much as we deem enough. I understand, he said, yet I may and must pray to the gods to prosper my journey from this to that other world. May this, then, which is my prayer, be granted to me. Then, holding the cup to his lips, quite readily and cheerfully he drank off the poison. And hitherto, most of us had been able to control our sorrow, but now, when we saw him drinking, and saw, too, that he had finished the draught, we could no longer forbear, and in spite of myself, my own tears were flowing fast, so that I covered my face and wept over myself, and certainly I was not weeping over him, but at the thought of my own calamity in having lost such a companion. Nor was I the first, for Crito, when he found himself unable to restrain his tears, had got up and moved away, and I followed, and at the moment Apollodorus, who had been weeping all the time, broke out in a loud cry, which made cowards of us all. Socrates alone retained his calmness. What is this strange outcry? He said. I sent away the women mainly in order that they might not offend in this way, for I have heard that a man should die in peace. Be quiet then, and have patience. When we heard that, we were ashamed and refrained our tears. And he walked about until, as he said, his legs began to fail, and then he lay on his back according to the directions, and the man who gave him the poison now and then looked at his feet and legs, and after a while he pressed his foot hard and asked him if he could feel, and he said no. And then his leg, and so upwards, and showed us that he was cold and stiff. And he felt them, and then he felt them himself, and said, When the poison reaches the heart, that will be the end. He was beginning to grow cold about the groin when he covered his face, for he had covered himself up, and said, they were his last words. He said, Crito, I owe a chicken to Acephalus. Will you remember to pay the debt? The debt shall be paid, said Crito. Is there anything else? There was no answer to the question, but in a minute or two a movement was heard, and the attendant uncovered him. His eyes were set, and Crito closed his eyes and mouth. Such was the end. Echecrates, our friend, whom I may truly call the wisest and justest and best of all the men whom I have ever known. That was the end of Phaedo. Went a little bit over, but I wanted to make sure and finish that. We have been reading from Phaedo when we finished it. Phaedo, okay, by Plato. We've been reading from the Harvard Classics, If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe, ring the bell so you know when I upload. Also, support me in any way if you want to join the Discord server. All the information will be in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.